After such a triumph at the ball, what could have depressed her? What could have possessed her? I can't understand the wretch at all.
Higgins, I have an old school chum at the Home Office. Perhaps he can help. Think I'll give him a ring. Whitehall 7244, please.
But women are irrational, that's all there is to that. Their heads are full of cotton, hay, and rags. They're nothing but exasperating, irritating, vacillating, calculating, agitating, maddening, and infuriating hags.
Oh, I want to speak to Mr. Brewster Budgeon, please. Yes, I'll wait.
Pickering, why can't a woman be more like a man?
I beg your pardon?
Yes, why can't a woman be more like a man? Men are so honest, so thoroughly square, eternally noble, historically fair. But when you win, we'll always give your back a pat. But why can't a woman be like that? Why does everyone do what the others do? Can't a woman learn to use her head? Why do they do everything their mothers do? Why don't they grow up, well, like their father instead? Why can't a woman take after a man? Men are so pleasant, so easy to please. Whenever you're with them, you're always at ease. Would you be slighted if I didn't speak for hours?
Of course not.
Would you be livid if I had a drink or two?
Nonsense.
Would you be wounded if I never sent you flowers?
Never.
Well, why can't a woman be like you? One man in a million may shout a bit. Now and then there's one with slight defects. One perhaps whose truthfulness you doubt a bit, but by and large, we are a marvelous sex. Why can't a woman take after a man? Because men are so friendly, good-natured and kind. A better companion you never will find. If I were hours late for dinner, would you bellow?
Of course
If
not.
I forgot your silly birthday, would you fuss?
Nonsense.
Would you complain if I took out another fellow?
Never.
Well, why can't a woman be like us?
Oh, hello. Mr. Brewster Budgeon there? Posie. Oh, Posie, you'll never guess who this is. You're quite right. Yes, it is. Good heavens. By George, what a memory. How are you, Posie? Nice to hear your voice. What? Oh, don't say that. Is it really 30 years? Good heavens. You're quite right. Yes, oceans of water. Listen, Posie, I'll tell you why I rang up. Something rather unpleasant's happened this end. Could I come and see you? Well, I could, yes, now, straight away. Righto, good. Thank you. Goodbye, Posie. Thank you very much. Oh, Mrs. Pierce, I'm going along to the Home Office.
Oh, I do hope you find her, Colonel Pickering. Mr. Higgins will miss her.
Mr. Higgins will miss her, eh? Blast Mr. Higgins. I'll miss her.
Pickering? Pickering? Oh, Mrs. Pierce?
Yes, sir?
Where's the Colonel?
He's gone to the Home Office, sir.
Oh, there you are. I'm disturbed and he runs for help. Now, there's a good fellow. Mrs. Pierce, you're a woman. Why can't a woman be more like a man? Men are so decent, such regular chaps, ready to help you through any mishaps, ready to buck you up whenever you are glum. Why can't a woman be a chum? Why is thinking something women never do? I mean, why is logic never even tried? Straightening up their hair is all they ever do. Why don't they straighten up the mess that's inside? Why can't a woman behave like a man? If I was a woman who'd been to a ball, been hailed as a princess by one and by all, would I start weeping like a bathtub overflowing? Or carry on as if my home were in a tree? Would I run off and never tell me where I'm going? Why can't a woman be like me? What in all in heaven can have prompted her to go? After such a triumph at the ball, what could have depressed her?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Good afternoon. How the devil are you? I thought I'd do something relatively provocative in my my little title there. Oh, I am still unwell, so if I'm looking terrible, which I think I probably am, that's why. But no fear, because all I have to do is make myself massive in your screen. How bad is that? Okay, so I'm gonna mess around like this. I'm gonna make myself not so big. Oh, the lighting. If there's not enough lighting, what is the point? And I'm not actually that orange. But anyway, I am unwell. But look at this. How nice is that? I know I'm a genius. I know I'm a genius. Right. I want to talk about this because I don't know about you, but over the last 10 years, I've spent a long time thinking, who's to blame? Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? And I think we can name many people, many departments who are to blame, and I'm about to list them. So are you ready? Uh, for example, let's say you're a professor at a university, well paid, cushy. What do you spend your day doing at a university, like teaching? Often, like, we're not talking, there are some institutions that in order to be a teacher there, you have to be some sort of genius. You have to have done something phenomenal. You at least have to have a PhD, like world renowned, whatever reputation. And then there are people who teach at things that used to be polytechnics who are not really much better than someone who teaches A level or teaches in a school, right? So they're the different people. And what we have is we have these people who deal in theory and chat all day and have like quite long breaks and big long holidays and I'm not going to lie, I don't think it's a particularly difficult job, right? And most people do it so badly these days, I think they're very lazy. So then your department, what happens in those departments is it goes from women's studies and sociology and all sort of, oh, I wonder what would happen if. Oh, and I wonder about this. And we're not talking about genuine sort of academic pursuit. In fact, I remember talking to Brett Weinstein a long time ago. And his wife is called Heather Hying. And he was talking about how wonderful this university was teaching at. And I just listened and I just thought it was always going to happen. Like this sort of boundaryless pursuit of education and everything just being really so relaxed and we just let them learn what we want. I mean, anybody would tell you that was going to happen. Anyone who'd spent like a day in the real world could see that sort of academic pursuit was basically inviting this crap that went on at, is it Evergreen, Evermore, whatever university it happened in. Like it was like an invitation. It was going to happen. You can't say to someone, "Hey, there's no boundaries. Do whatever the hell you want, and we'll give you a degree at the end of it." That's insane. But anyway, that's how I feel this all happened, and it all happened in universities. And it happened because loads and loads of people were like, "Hey, yeah, that's really interesting. What a woman is. That's so interesting. Yeah, why should we have boundaries? You know what? Women and men are exactly the same. The only thing that's happened, nothing to do with our hormones, nothing to do with our size, nothing to do with our skeletal structure, nothing to do with our weight, nothing to do with our hormones, nothing to do with reproduction, nothing to do with the fact that a male appendage penetrates a woman's body. None of that. Nothing. No, 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 no. It's simply what we tell you and how we shape you into how you behave. Right? That's essentially what academia did to the human body and the human mind and to us as a people. Like in sociology and everything, it all came down to, rather than going, do you know what? In all societies, these things are true, which is why I did a theology degree, because I thought I'm going to go to university and in all these religions, if there's a universal truth, then surely that is the truth. If there is a universal truth, I went as an atheist. I thought I was going to find some sort of epiphany of proof or something. And I think the only thing that I learned is that man does have a psychological need requirement for there to be some sort of overarching structure code, compass, whatever, in order to coexist properly. That's what I've learned. So, Evergreen State College in Washington, that's it. So, when we look at, so I pose this question every now and again, like for women in particular, like you keep saying what you don't like, but what do you want? Like, what do you want? What do women want in a partner? And I'm clearly talking to heterosexual women. Like, what is it that you want? Because in one respect, we apparently want men to understand us, empathize, chat, talk, endlessly listen. But actually, I'm telling you that most of us, if we ended up with a man who behaved like a woman, we wouldn't want to be in a relationship with that man. Now, I'm aware that I'm not particularly typical when it comes to, I'm relatively confident. I've got quite a big ego. I don't mind telling you the good things about myself. That's just who I am. So maybe I'm a little bit less feminine than others, but I'm still not a man, and I don't behave like a man, and I'm not particularly masculine. But it's it's this thing, right? If you reduce men and women to simply bodies, right? That all we are is bodies, not that everyone has to fit a stereotype, but if the only difference between men and women is the way that we are conditioned to behave, genuinely speaking, feminists, radfems, all of you lovely people, if it's all down to socialization, why can't men be in women-only spaces? Why can't men be in women-only? Why not? Why can't they? And if we are to recognize that men pose more of a risk to women, and we don't say that they do that with their bodies alone, and they are actually sentient beings, and they behave that way because their behavior, are we honestly saying that we can blame men for the way that they are socialized and the way they behave? Like, you can't really have it both ways. You can't say that women are socialized into sort of being being victims of men, but men aren't socialized into being perpetrators. And if there is some biological basis to that, which I think there is, and we see it throughout mammals, and there are similar behaviors in lots of mammals, particularly in great apes, then how is it ever just socialization? How is it ever just that? It's just, you just can't do this. You can't both in one hand say it's all men's fault and we are participants in the way that they are socialized, and in the same breath, it's not our fault. So I'm just saying that I mean, I think it probably is a little bit of everything, that some Ronnie Corbett glasses. It's because I just really can't see anymore. It's so bad. I'm like -5.5 in each eye. And so I wear lenses, and that means now I can't see the screen. So I do apologize. I'm going to get something a bit more ravishing for my glasses. And we know that men really aren't the same as women, and no matter how they feel, they aren't women, because actually we are not people walking around in bodies. We are bodies. We are connected. And I just want everyone to understand that the role feminism has played, and porn has played a much bigger part, I would argue. But feminist theory breaking down, and John Money, well, feminist theory, and I've seen it on the thing that I did today, where you've got feminists going, I don't think there are any differences between men and women. Like, men and women are the same. Like, we're the same. A good man is the same as a good woman. Well, then, mates, I'm sorry, but then you're basically saying that he shouldn't pose any greater risk. And why can't he if we're exactly the same, why can't a man then say that he should be allowed in a woman's space if he feels like a woman? It's just nuts. Now, I quite like the differences between men and women. I probably can't perfectly articulate what they are, but I will tell you If I'm sitting in amongst a group of women, and I'm not talking necessarily about sort of flirting and all those things that are different with men, because there just is a different social contract between men and women as there are between women and women. I'm telling you, groups of men do not behave in the same way as groups of women. Like, the bad behavior of women is not the same as the bad behavior of men. It's just not. Women are far more likely to persecute other women with psychological warfare. And men just aren't. Men aren't even that bothered about what other men do. They might think that man's got a nicer car, but they won't hate the man. It's very, very rare that a man will go, "Oh, he's a twat. Why? Well, he's better looking than me." Whereas women do that all the time. "Oh, I don't like her because she's more successful." It essentially, like, women do operate on this kind of envy thing all the time, and men don't. That's not the only thing that women do. It is just more common for women to do it. Celtic Tigger says, "I love it when a man lifts a huge lump of stone effortlessly." I'm gonna like. It happened not very long ago with one of our children, and my husband's quite a big person, and yes, and he's telling me I've got 5 minutes. And he's quite a big person, and one of our children needed a kind of a, your husband goes in sometimes and deals with your sons, and it's very attractive. Like, I remember when I was pregnant with one of my children, and there was a tree in our garden, and I was like, "Oh, the tree's blocking the sun," and so my husband just went and cut it down, and that, it's that sort of thing that I find very appealing. Right now, I've got to go. Anyway, so I'm just saying that it's bullshit that we are the same, and I think that we now need to start being really honest about this, about what role feminism did have to play, academic feminism, what role that had to play in this whole stuff, this whole nonsense where we have to pretend that biological sex doesn't matter. It's because we started separating the biology from the person. And look, there'll be many feminists that will now defend it, going, "Oh no, yeah, but women's reproductive, da 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 da." But I'm just saying that either we're the same, and therefore why do we have different spaces, or we're not. We're not. So anyway. Okay, right. I've got somewhere else to go. Someone said I've gone all girly. Yes, I probably have. We've been together 26 years and I still like him, so it's quite good. But he's big and strong, and that's something that as a small woman I find appealing. And yeah, I just wanted to address that, because I think women who pretend that men and women are exactly the same are just lying. I just think you're lying. Anyway, if you can, just speak the truth, even when it's not, it's not particularly expedient for the things that I do sometimes to speak the truth. And yes, I still speak it. And if you can do that, I promise we will win. If you can just focus on the stuff that's going to get you nearer and nearer the finish line, then I promise we will win. Sunday, by the way, 1:00, Reformers Tree. If you come, I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Well, because, quite frankly, I never lose.
Rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love.